What do these set of nesting dolls have to do with your Ontraport setup? Well, we're going to find out today on Email Splat TV. What does my nesting doll friend have to do with Ontraport? Well, I'm going to share with you today a mistake I see inside of dozens of Ontraport's accounts. It's almost every account I go into that you all have set up. There is a common mistake that is made over and over again because you don't understand nested campaigns. So what am I talking about nested campaigns? Well, let's put our friend away over here. Here, she can be our mascot for today. So a nested campaign, let's have my trigger. I come into an account, whatever this trigger is, add a tag, buy a product, whatever it is. I get added to a campaign. I have a couple things happen. You know, I'm going to add a tag, and I'm going to fire a task. And then what I see a lot is add to campaign. And then right after that, send an email. And people expect that I'm going to get added to this campaign, tag's going to happen, task's going to fire, I'm going to get added to this other campaign, and immediately I'm going to send this email. And guess what happens? They get the tag, the task fires, never see the email. And people are really confused. Why didn't this happen? Worse yet, people sometimes don't even realize that this just broke. And here's where this whole idea of my nested friend comes in, is that when I go into a campaign, I'm kind of like Inception. I'm a campaign within a campaign. So now, if I look at my nesting friend, I'm in my big campaign. So I came in this trigger here, right? I'm in my big campaign. And then I drop into my second campaign. And now I'm a campaign inside of a campaign. And so what does that mean? That means I don't move on until I come back out of this campaign. And then I move on. But as long as I'm inside this other campaign, I'm inside this other campaign. And everything stops until I come back out of this campaign. I see this a lot. Someone buys a product. Ka-ching, we just bought something. We get added to this campaign. We get tagged for the product that we just bought. We fire off a task to onboard them. And then we add them to the date-based broadcast campaign for that product. See that a lot. Oh, can't spell broadcast. You guys get to see me without spell check. So we get added to this broadcast campaign, and then we move on to do the rest of our onboarding. We send the welcome email. Maybe we're going to wait a day and then send another, follow-up email about here's what you do next. The problem is, I dropped into a hole right here. I dropped into this campaign, and I'm not moving on to this next step until I'm done with this campaign. And if this is a long-term broadcast campaign, I'm never done with it. I'm always there. So I just drop into that hole, never to be seen again. And so this doesn't work. So what should you do instead? Well, first of all, just understand this whole nested concept. For this very reason, it's very rare that I use an add to campaign element inside of a campaign. This has its place. I only really use this when I'm doing some sort of what I call a master sorting campaign, where I want them to just daisy chain from one campaign to another. So I drop into a campaign, I wait till they pop out, then I do some sort of decision diamond, a condition, do I go here, do I go there, and then I drop them into another campaign or this campaign. And then all this master sorter campaign is doing is deciding which campaign to drop them into. So really, it's just the traffic cop putting them in and out of campaigns, and that's where this add to campaign element shines. This is where it works really well. What it does not work well for is purchasing things or a one-off campaign you want to add them to. So what should we do instead? Well, let's get rid of that and look at another thing. So in the case of what I just showed, where I buy a product and now I want to add them to two campaigns, just add them to two campaigns. So I've got a trigger here that says I bought the product, and this is my onboarding where I've got my tag and I've got my task. and I've got my welcome email. But on a separate second campaign, so this is totally different campaign, over here, I've got the same trigger. I can put the same trigger in multiple campaigns. I've got the same trigger, buy the product. Now I just come in here, usually this just goes to an end, and then we've got wait until this date. And then we send the date-based email. So it's just two separate campaigns using the exact same trigger. Then I don't need this whole add to campaign step. I just, if I want them in a second campaign, just add them to the second campaign in the second campaign. You don't need to do it within one campaign. That's where this add to campaign element breaks, because it's really not made for that. Second way you can handle it and get them into multiple campaigns using that add to campaign trigger, which again, not my favorite way. This is my favorite way. Buy my product, and then I get my tag and my task, and then I use a fork. And then here, I'm gonna send everybody down two paths. So I can send an email on this path, and I can use my add to campaign trigger on this path. So they can come down, go on two different paths, and so now I've got two copies of the same person here, and over here they've dropped into the campaign where they're really never going to be heard from again, and probably if they pop out, we just want them to end. And over here, now I can just continue on and I can send more emails or whatever it is I want to do with the rest of my onboarding. So that's another way you can deal with this add to campaign trigger. Again, my preferred way is just to have another trigger in that second campaign that adds them there. Unless there's some special condition where only certain people are getting added. But then again, you can just put a condition on that trigger in the other campaign to filter out people you don't want in it. All right, so that is what nesting dolls have to do with Ontraport. It's because these campaigns are nested, and now that you know this, maybe this was an aha moment, right? Maybe you've suddenly realized why some of your campaigns have not done what you thought they were going to do. Really not, again, one of those quirks inside of Ontraport that's really obvious once you know it, but up until you know it, it's not obvious. It is not intuitive. So hopefully that helps you build better campaigns. Hey, if you want to get more great videos like this, subscribe to the videos and you'll get more great Ontraport training stuff like this as well as strategy about how to use automated systems in your business. All right, see you next time on Email Splat TV.